Hi guys, how you doing? Welcome to Read Instead. I'm Jake, glad to have you here today. I wanted to do a little reading update on my behalf here. I apologize, I haven't made a video in I think about a week. I went down to New York to a friend of mine's wedding. I thought about maybe making a video down there, but I just figured at the end of the day, I'll wait till I come back up here to my library and we'll get back into the swing of things. I did happen to take a book down there with me, and that'll kind of lead us into what I'm reading now and kind of what's going on in my mind as far as mapping out the rest of the summer as to what I want to read. But I'm reading Michael Conley's The Last Coyote. If you guys watched the past few videos that I made, you know that I was sort of in this, I was living in this world for a little while of, finding a new appreciation for high prose and allegory and reading some American classics. The last two books that I read before getting into this Michael Conley novel was Fahrenheit 451, which I made a video about, and then I didn't share any thoughts on this, but in between Fahrenheit 451 and the Michael Conley novel that I'm reading now, I read The Old Man and the Sea by Ernest Hemingway, and that was my first Ernest Hemingway book that I've ever read. And it was very eye-opening to me because, to me, I mean, he sort of falls into that category of, a classic American author, and I mean, he wrote books between the 20s and the 50s. That's quite a while ago, and that was certainly during that time frame where I think a lot of American writers were still, really using just high prose and very sort of lofty language as they wrote. And I read this, and Hemingway's not like that at all. But I don't know if you guys have ever seen the movie Midnight in Paris. It's a Woody Allen movie. It came out 10 or 15 years ago with Owen Wilson. Really, really fun movie to watch. And anyway, I won't get into the plot of that movie, but there's a scene in it where Owen Wilson meets Ernest Hemingway in 1920s Paris, and Owen Wilson is describing to him a book. He asks Ernest Hemingway to read the book that he's writing, and he starts to describe it. And as soon as he gets into the plot of his novel, he says to Ernest, he goes, "Does that sound bad?" And Ernest Hemingway responds, he says, "No subject is bad as long as the prose is clean and true." And, again, this is the first Hemingway book that I have read, but as I was reading it, my mind sort of flashed back to that scene in that movie, because that's exactly how he writes. And I read a little bit after I finished The Old Man and the Sea. I read a little bit about Ernest Hemingway, and I would say the best way to describe his writing is economical. I came across that word as I was reading about him, economical. He doesn't waste any words, but in saying that, every sentence is sort of perfect in itself. It doesn't go too far, but it gives you exactly what you need to understand what's going on. And I just really appreciated that. The Old Man and the Sea, I believe this is one of the last novels that he wrote, or novellas, whatever you want to call this. It's a very short book. I think if you guys are looking to read anything that's not going to take you too long, this is like a day or two sort of read. And I wanted the last two books that I read, Fahrenheit 451 and The Old Man and the Sea, were shorter, and I wanted to pick out shorter books. This year for me, I just happened to read a lot of like really chunky books, a lot of 600-700 page books, and that wasn't a conscious decision. I didn't do that on purpose. It just sort of happened that way. Right now I'm going through the Faithful and the Fallen series, the fantasy series by John Gwynne, and I finished 3 out of 4 of those books. At some point, when I finish the last book, I'll review the whole series. I'll review the series as a whole. But all of those books are like pretty chunky. Yeah, I've just a lot of the books that I've read this year just turned out to be pretty long, and that sort of set me back a little bit as far as, you know, how many books I try to read in a year. But I've gotten to the point now, in years past, I've been so caught up and sort of worried about, you know, like I said, I mentioned to you guys before, the first time when I set out on my reading journey, I tried to read 50 books in a year, and I still try to do that. I never really get to that, by the way, but if I can get close, I'm pretty happy. But in saying that, in years past, I've really I've made that way more important than I think it should be. I think the most important thing is keeping the joy and the entertainment factor up when reading, and really finding pleasure in it. And if I'm just worried about, you know, how many books I'm going to read in a year, I feel like this will turn into a hobby that's just not enjoyable anymore. So I've sort of learned to not worry about that much, and, you know, I just try to stay consistent with, you know, reading every day, whether it's 10 minutes or 20 minutes or an hour or 2 hours. Just try to read a little bit every day. At the very least, maybe just a few minutes to put you to bed at night. I feel like I'm coming off of that whole grind of, you know, the American classics and, you know, older books, and I'm getting back into pure entertainment, and that's what Michael Conley does. And I am probably 3/4 of the way through this book. I'll tell you, is there a better way to spend your time waiting in line at TSA, or waiting to board your plane, or actually flying on a plane, traveling in general? Is there a better way to spend your time than getting into a novel? I was so happy that I took this particular book with me. It's just, it's awesome. You know, in regards to Michael Conley, for those of you who don't know him, he is a Los Angeles-based crime writer. And here's a fun fact. He was actually I don't know if it was the LA Times, or he worked for a newspaper. He was a journalist before he became a novelist. And fun fact, right? We were just talking about Ernest Hemingway. Same deal with him. He was a newspaper guy, or a journalist, and then he became a novelist. And it's interesting because I feel like people, writers who take that sort of journey, write in a pretty similar fashion. No wasted lines, or, you know, just with Michael Conley, I don't read a chapter and then say to myself, like, that was a waste of time, or like, why, you know, I didn't care about that or anything. Everything is like exactly what I want to read in the novel. He has complete control over the story. It's not easy to figure out. Michael Conley is a crime writer, a mystery detective writer. This is the 4th Michael Conley novel that I've read, and I would say, you know, a good word to describe Michael Conley as an author is consistent. He's consistent. Even the I don't want to say worst, even the book that I liked the least amount in the 4 books that I've read of his was still enjoyable. This may turn out to be the best one that I've read out of the 4 that I've read. This is part of the Harry Bosch detective series. I believe there's about 21 or 22 books in that series. And, you know, he's a Los Angeles detective, and you know, the layers of Harry Bosch and him as a character are there in the novel, but I would say they certainly take sort of a backseat to the actual crime solving process itself. And I really like it. it seems as though, you know, nothing's far-fetched, and you know, I'm no scholar when it comes to police procedure and stuff like that, but it seems like everything makes perfect sense. And you know, has sort of a moral compass as a detective, but at the same time, he will bend the, you know, rules just a little bit if it means ultimately solving, you know, or capturing the criminal. You know, this book gets very personal when it comes to Harry Bosch himself. This fourth entry in that series. As soon as I finish this, I will do an instant reaction, and I'll put that in that playlist, the instant reaction playlist. After this, I don't have any. I haven't picked anything out in my mind as to what I'm going to read. If you guys have any suggestions, please, you know, leave it in the comment section, and it'd be cool if we could get even. I know this channel is just sort of, you know, starting out, it's getting its legs, but it'd be cool if we could get maybe 4 or 5 people, including myself, all reading the same book, and then we could sort of discuss it after. By the way, one more thing I'd like to add to this video. A lot of people, I have a couple friends who are also YouTubers, and then just other friends who subscribe to this channel and have sort of given me some pointers and tips and stuff, and I'm always open to you know, anybody's thoughts. And they've, you know, a few people have said you don't ask people to like and subscribe, and you know, I just figured YouTube's been out for like almost 20 years now, and I figure most people know how to use it, and most people know that if they want, you know, if they appreciate a certain content or a certain channel and they want more of it, and they want to be notified when a new, you know, video gets uploaded, all that stuff. You guys already know about that, so, you know, I probably won't add those to my videos, those sort of like and subscribe stuff. You know, you guys know that. If you like this channel and you appreciate the videos, then thank you very much. And I'm gonna keep making them because, frankly, I don't have too many people in my life to talk, you know, to about books. So that's like maybe half the reason why I have this channel. Of course, the other half is, you know, I have a very strong conviction that, you know, just people having their head buried in their phone for hours and hours a day is not a good thing. But I'm not going to get into that right now. I hope you guys are enjoying your summer, and I'll talk to you soon. Okay? Take care.